Živijo, tukaj je Anže, poslušate podcast Aparatus, kjer legitimni člani družbe povejo, kaj počnejo v življenju.
Stroške gostovanja, spletne strani in vseh fajlov Aparatusa tokrat sponzorira podjetje de-sign, ki se ukvarja z industrijskim in grafičnim oblikovanjem ter oglaševanjem in je na internetu na www.de-sign.si.
Tole pa je 52. epizoda Aparatusa, v kateri je gostoval Harry Marks. Ko že po imenu slišite, da bo tokrat tudi v angleščini. Gre za človeka, ki je pisatelj, živi v New Jerseyju, dela pa v New Yorku. Sicer pa piše en odličen blog curiousred.com, tam sem ga tudi jaz najdel. Bil je pa tudi gost že v parih podcastih, tudi v The Menu baru, kjer sta bila sogostitla Zek in Andrew že gosta v Aparatusu. Zdaj, da prej začnemo, še enkrat hvala vsem, ki ste dali Aparatusu oceno v iTunesih. Kakršnega koli feedbacka sem vesel, tako da mi težite na Twitterju oziroma prek maila anze@aparatus.si. Če pa imate šanso, pa lahko Aparatus tudi finančno podprete. To pa tako naredite, da greste na aparatus.si/podpri. Evo, zdaj pa Harry.
There we go.
See, this sounds professional.
Okay, I'm recording my end.
We sound like we know what we're doing, so.
Well, for now. Let's wait till we start the show.
I think we just did. So, yeah, I had to turn off a lot of stuff because I forget the gadgets I get to review, and I forget how much stuff I have.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant apps and stuff, like Twitter or app.net or anything.
Oh, no, I just turn off the speakers and don't bother.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I have like 4 Android tablets here now.
Wow.
And they're all I'm signed in to all of them with my Gmail account.
Oh, so they all go off at once.
Yeah, and I had a calendar entry for us for the record time. So at like 10 minutes to 4 here, they just all started like going off.
That is the new opening to Back to the Future. If they were to remake it, it would be a bunch of tablets going off all at the same time with their alarms.
Yeah, we're basically living in the future now. I think we are, yeah. So, yeah, I had to get that sorted, but I think I got all of them, I think. So, I always say this at the start of episodes. I don't know why, but I'm usually at home when I record with the Americans and stuff. So, I just need to, turn everything off. So.
Understandable.
So we should start, and I'm just going to ask my first question, which is always the same. So, who are you and what do you do?
I am Harry Marks. I run CuriousRat.com. I used to be a regular on the In30 podcast at In30.net. I've popped up on a couple of others, The Impromptu, Enough with Patrick Rohn. And I'm a writer for the most part. I've written 2 novels, still waiting to be published, and that's about it.
Okay, so let's go into the writing first, and then we'll talk tech and argue.
Okay.
But the 2 novels, like how much can you tell us about them?
The first one was really a proof of concept of, can I write a full length novel? And the answer was yes, barely. And I barely in both terms of word count and how it turned out. And I wrote a piece called On Rejection about basically querying the novel out to agents, getting them back. I sent it out 23 query letters. I got back 16 rejections, and the others I just never heard from. And I figured, you know what, this is what they always say with your first novel, write it, throw it in a drawer, and never let it see the light of day again. And that's probably a good idea. I think I refer to it as a work of ego-stroking hackery. And the second one is a little more. They both fell into. I didn't know this genre existed at the time, and it didn't when I was growing up. But it's called New Adult, and it apparently encapsulates the age range of 18 to late 20s, early 30s, that second coming of age you're supposed to have in your mid-20s, I guess. So that's what both of them seem to fall into. And the second one deals with the recession and, the main character's plans to go to grad school have fallen through the cracks. One of his parents lost their job, so he's got to stay home now and help take care of the family. And it's a funny book, but it deals with a lot of heavy crap. So I'm currently querying that one out. I think I'm up to 5 rejections now. So I'm well on my way to where the other one left off.
Yeah, but you said you got you sent out 25 for the first one, and you got 15 back or 16 back. That's a lot. I just figured, they wouldn't even bother. You know what I mean?
Some don't.
Like, 'cause you're just,
some will tell you right off the bat, if we don't like it, we're not going to respond. And so after 3 months, I assume they didn't like it. And so, for the most part, almost all of them now, because it's all done through email and not self-addressed stamped envelope anymore, they'll send back a form rejection. We're sorry, this just isn't for us. Good luck with your future endeavors, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So you think it was easier before when it was an actual letter and like you sent in a manuscript and stuff, or is it better now that it's email so you just get feedback?
I think it's
faster.
I think it's a double-edged sword. It's definitely easier for the sender, for the writer to get his work out there, because you don't have to worry about printing it and then shipping it off to and paying all that postage and everything. There's a lot less out of pocket. You're literally just exporting to a PDF or pasting into an email and sending it off to the agent or the editor and, hoping you hear back. But at the same time, I feel like it's harder now to break in, especially for debut novelists, because there's so much out there. And now everything's genre-based. From what I've seen, it's not very much like, To Kill a Mockingbird would need to be pushed into a certain genre for it to be picked up now. If it's not supernatural romance or a 50 Shades clone or, a puzzler like a Dan Brown novel, then they really don't want to know about it. I'm not saying in terms of bad writing or good writing. I'm just saying, like, they want genres. They want paranormal romance. They want new adult. They want young adult. They want young adult with a blah, blah, blah. Like, everything is very genre-based now. And so I feel like a lot of novelists just starting out who just want to tell a good story, if they don't find that genre that fits them, then they're out of luck.
So where does the internet come in? Like, you run Curious Rat,
mm-hmm.
right? But so how does that fit into the whole, I want to be a writer and, I'm starting out online.
Well, Curious Rat started 2.5, 3 years ago. I've lost count now. And it started as your typical link tech blog. So cloning John Gruber or The Loop or anything like that. So I would post links, maybe a quote from a thing, and then 2 or 3 words of commentary, and then more longer posts after that. And then now I've fallen out of the whole tech realm. I've honestly gotten so sick and tired of the punditry and all the BS that comes with it. And I've drifted much more towards the creative arts and the stuff I link to. So writing, music, movies, fun stuff I find that someone else might not link to. That's really what I'm putting up there.
Yeah, that's why I like the site, actually. Cause,
thank you.
The whole punditry kind of link blogs. I mean, there's just one John Gruber.
Yeah, and
I think
I have a firm philosophy and belief that if John Gruber linked to it, I'm not going to, because they've already seen it. So what's the point of me linking to something? I see a lot of people, and a lot of great writers do it. John Gruber posts a link to something with a couple of words of commentary, and then someone says, "Oh, you should see what John Gruber linked to." It's like, no, they've already seen it. Everyone in this industry reads John Gruber's site, so they're not going to come to me for anything more unless I actually have something to add to it.
So how come you like tech? Because, if you're writing novels about, somebody going through the recession and all that stuff.
Well,
how
I got into tech before the recession, but I always loved the new shiny. I always loved seeing how technology was progressing and seeing where, how far cell phones had come. When I saw the iPhone was introduced in those first commercials, I was frothing at the mouth. Before that, it was the Sidekick 2. I mean, for me, when I was a teenager growing up, that was it for me. That was what I had to have, and it never stopped. And I'm still into technology. I still love seeing what the next iPhone is going to be, or what Microsoft is doing with Windows Phone, contrary to what Zach Seishi thinks. And I know you had him on the show. That was a very good episode, by the way. And I'm saying this just to goad him, but I just love seeing how things are progressing, and I absolutely adore it. But at the same time, I've gotten kind of tired of the whole, I don't want to say the Sturm und Drang of it, but it's gotten to be a very toxic industry, especially on the analysis side. You've got the rumor blogs on one side with their nonsense, is this the iPhone 5C? Is this the next iPad? Blah, blah. Who cares? When they show it, they show it. I don't care otherwise. And then you've got the Yahoos and the Forbeses and Wall Street Journals with the constant Apple bashing because page views and headlines. And then you've got really the only tech blogs I subscribe to anymore, The Loop and John Gruber, 512 Pixels, personality driven with smart commentary, stuff that's actually worth reading. And that's really what I've been focusing on now. I've unsubscribed in my RSS reader from just about every tech blog you could think of. And not because they were bad or good, but because I'm sick of it. And I have other things to focus on. And it's funny because now I'm focused more on the analog side of things. I've fallen into the pen nerd category on app.net, and I've been talking to people about inks and fountain pens and stuff. I own a typewriter. The first draft of my next book will be entirely written on the typewriter. And I love it. I've gone back to paper books. I've gotten rid of not gotten rid of ebooks, but I pick and choose, and mostly paper. I really only go to ebooks if it's huge or something I'm embarrassed to be reading in public. And that's really where it's come to now. I've sort of reverted all the way back to the beginning, and I'm much happier with pen and paper than I was with the 37 productivity apps that I downloaded from the App Store.
Well, yeah, the productivity apps. I've never downloaded and installed one of them, so I get you. But why back to paper books? That's the only one I don't get. That was the only thing I kind of picked up on that, because that feels like actually going back. The other stuff is sort of a personal choice, I think. But I think the e-ink stuff is actually so superior to the actual paper.
I disagree, and here's why. Paper books are a tactile experience. Smell, touch, if you're weird taste. But for me, I love the feel of a book in my hand. I love to turn the pages. The paper doesn't need to be recharged. And then the other thing is, when I lived in an apartment, I'm in a house now, but when I was in an apartment, I was all ebooks because I didn't have the room for books. So ebooks were perfect. I could take my Nook with me and I'd be fine. Now that I have the house, I want to be surrounded by books. It's inspiring to be surrounded by knowledge and great writing, and to be able to just pull a book off a shelf and flip through it and put it back and not have to scroll through menus. It's a very satisfying experience for me.
So who cleans all of that stuff? That's my question.
Who cleans all of it?
Yeah, because, books and dust are best friends. That's my main objection.
I usually run a hand across the tops of the
I'd rather recharge a Kindle than have 700 books on bookshelves at my house.
Right now it's the opposite.
Just clean them off every 2 weeks because I'd be annoyed that there was so much dust.
Oh yeah, no. Right now the only thing collecting dust is my Nook. The books get read.
Yeah, okay, fair. Well, but when you're done with them, they kind of just sit there, don't they?
Oh, yeah, but I find it a lot easier if I need to reference something to just pluck the book off the shelf and flip to the page than have to scroll through and then have to find the page and either tab through with my thumb, or if it's a touchscreen like an iPad, find it that way. For me, it's always been easier to just go right to the book.
Okay, well, it makes sense then that you're doing the next book on, typewriter, I guess. But what does that mean, a typewriter? Like one of those old-timey ones, or like an IBM thing that's almost a computer?
No, it is a manual typewriter from 1958, 1959. It's very clicky-clacky. It's even clickier than a Matthias Tactile Pro. And it's absolutely amazing. It's a hulking piece of metal, and it is a beautiful work of engineering, and I adore using it.
So then I'm guessing you're on a mechanical keyboard, right?
Well, no, I'm podcasting right now from a MacBook Air with not a mechanical keyboard attached.
Oh, but you used to write on a mechanical one, or you just got the whole Apple chiclet thing?
I have an iPad, and I have the Apple keyboard for that with the origami case for it, so I can use it as a stand. But I never got honestly, it came down to money. I just never had the money to spend on a mechanical keyboard. I wanted a Tactile Pro. I love the sound of the clacky keyboard. I just never had the money for it.
Yeah. I have a SteelSeries G6. It's supposed to be a gaming keyboard, but it's not really. It really looks like an adult keyboard, which is why I bought it.
Oh, nice.
And it's awesome, but we can debate cherry switches for an hour, so we'll move on. Yeah. Going back to tech and the whole punditry thing, the reason I like your site is because, you do yell a lot, basically, but you do have a measured approach to the whole thing.
I don't know if yelling is the right word. I'd say sternly scolding.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, sternly scolding. But yeah, I'm kind of drawn to people that are sort of, they don't do the typical punditry stuff and don't do the whole tribal mentality. I like Samsung, that's why the iPhone sucks and whatever, all of that stuff. So where does that come from? You just got sick of it and then tried to do it? Or what do you?
I mean, a lot of the early site was, look at all the stupid stuff Samsung's doing. Look at all the stupid stuff the Microsoft's doing. Look at all, after a while, it's like, really, what is the point? What does it matter what anybody else uses? I know that I've gotten into some arguments with people on Twitter and not to a great degree on app.net, but mostly on Twitter. I have a feeling my next smartphone is going to be a Lumia 1020. I've owned an iPhone since the very beginning, and I honestly think I'm going to make the switch. And it's not because the iPhone's a bad device at all. It's a beautiful device, and it's got a great app ecosystem. But when I look at the Lumia 1020, I love Windows Phone. I've loved it since the Samsung Focus, which I got as a clout perk. And I know a lot of people make fun of clout, but it's actually, it had its moments, and that was one of them. For me, getting a free Samsung Focus out of the deal, hell yes. And the camera on that is absolutely amazing. I've seen some of the pictures taken with it, and it's gorgeous. It would replace any camera I'd need. I'm not a photographer by any stretch, so I don't know if I'd ever own a DSLR, or an SLR or anything like that. So, but yeah, I got really sick of the back and forth, and a lot of sites still do that stuff. Look at the Surface ads for Microsoft. Yeah, they're sad and pathetic, but what does it matter? No one's buying them anyway. And the people who do buy them seem to like them. So really, is this what we want to surround ourselves with? And this is how we want to be remembered, as harbingers of the stupid stuff other tech companies do? It seems pointless to me.
Yeah, but you see, I think we needed time to get there, where it would seem pointless. Because at the start, everybody could publish, because of the internet, I guess. So, I think it was normal that most people just went there. But yeah, like the last couple of years have kind of slowed things down. And I think a lot of people are moving away from the whole tribal mentality thing, but still not as many as I'd like to see. Well, the one thing I wanted to ask you about is, if you take out the punditry stuff, and all of the, the Apple bashing, page view grabbing headline stuff, right? But sites like The Verge and Engadget and all of those, tech blogs or tech sites, whatever you want to call them, like, the one thing I do kind of like about them is that they do like first-hand reporting, which, John Gruber doesn't do a hell of a lot of first-hand reporting. So where do you think that balance is,
I think first-hand reporting is awful. I think it is pointless. I think, especially when The Verge does it, and I chide them for this constantly. But my biggest issue with this, and here's a perfect example, and this also goes to their reviews, because the reviews are written about 10 minutes after they get their hands on the device. David Pierce's Nexus 7 review claimed that this is the best small tablet out there, that it doesn't matter that the app ecosystem isn't there. This is better than the iPad mini. The screen is as retina as you're gonna get. It's the perfect thing to hold, blah, blah, blah. But he says in the beginning of his piece that his last Nexus 7 sat in a drawer for 6 or after a couple of months of using it. Like, he just stopped using it. It wasn't doing it for him. He went back to the iPad or something. So what use is a first-hand report? Because a first-hand report's always going to be, oh, look how great this looks because it's new and it's shiny and we're getting our hands on it for the first time. I'd rather read a review of a device or a report on a device a month after the reviewer using it than over the last weekend. Like, for me, a first-hand report is nothing. And on The Verge, here's what their first-hand reports are. It's a picture of the device behind glass with "more coming soon" written underneath it. That was the Mac Pro first-hand report right after it was announced. How valuable is that to someone?
Well, yeah, but like some of the reviews are written like way in advance, and then just the embargo lifts and everybody posts.
So, some of them. I know Apple gives their devices away like a week or two in advance, and Apple devices are always reliable. I would think, with the iPhone and everything. I mean, unless there is a major flaw discovered 3 months after you have an iPhone 5. I think it's going to be pretty much the same as the iPhone 4 and the 4S in terms of what you're going to get from it. But with the Nexus 7, they're touting all these improved things on it, or with the next Galaxy, or with the whatever, or even the next MacBook Air. The MacBook Air has this amazing battery life. what's it like after a month? What's it like after 2 months? Does it still hold the charge? Does it still, is it still as fantastic as it was when you had it that first weekend? That's the kind of stuff that irks me. I'd rather have a delayed but correct or as thorough a review as possible than one that's written right over the weekend because we got to get it out because page views.
Yeah, but how feasible is that, I mean, where do you draw the line? In a month, 2 months, like 3 months? What's the time period?
Unfortunately, with the advent of the internet, that's the problem. It's all about instant gratification. If our review isn't out immediately, then it might as well not exist. And that's and that's journalism in a nutshell. If you're not first, you're irrelevant.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that, but yeah, I don't know where to.
It's online journalism now.
I mean, who's gonna produce the news that then every other link blog links to? I don't get how that works if you don't have the big tech sites, or the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. Where does the meat for all of the link blogs come from?
Would it be such a loss if some of those link blogs disappeared because they wouldn't be able to link to the big tech sites? Wouldn't we rather?
Yeah, but even the good ones. I'm talking.
Wouldn't we rather have?
Let's say Stephen Hackett's site is good. Well, it is, but and if he doesn't have anything to link to, I mean, what happens there?
There's always something to link to, and a lot of since we're using Stephen as an example, a lot of his stuff is. I mean, a lot of it's tech, but a lot of the stuff he links to isn't even from a big tech site. I mean, he links to, he got the Lego DeLorean kit he put pictures up of. He talks about his kids and the trials they're going through and stuff. So, his site is a very personal site. I love his site, for the reason, and also his commentary during live blogs of Apple events are hilarious. If you follow him on Twitter, it's really, really funny. But, there are other link blogs out there. A lot of the smaller ones, they'll link to stuff I write or stuff that I've linked to. And it's, would it be so bad if these people either found something else to talk about, something more thoughtful than what the latest Samsung device was or the latest iPhone was, and really put some thought into what they were writing?
Yeah, but you see, Samsung's gonna sell that device anyway.
Right.
And then if nobody reviews it, you get people buying crap.
Oh no, I'm not saying don't review it. I'm just saying
no, but I'm saying you have to review it pretty fast.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't wait 3 months. You can't wait for 3 months and the device is on the market and then people just buy complete crap. You can't do that.
No, I understand that, but the problem I find is that the reviews written, and yeah, it is a problem with the industry because these reviews get out there the day they're released or the day before the product is released. And so people need to know if it's worth buying, but you're never really going to know if it's worth owning until you've had it for a couple of months.
Yeah, but you see, the review that comes out over the weekend kind of, I'm not saying
it's a necessary evil.
The gospel, but they do help with that decision.
They do, and it's a necessary evil of the industry. I think is, unfortunately, they do need to be out fast. I do appreciate the ones where they've had the device for at least a week. I don't think that happened with the Nexus 7. I think that was literally like a 2-day turnaround. But, with the iPhones and the MacBooks, usually the big tech sites or the big names like Gruber and The Loop, they get, I'd say, a week in advance of testing it. And then in the case of the software, like iOS 7 and Mavericks, they'll have it for a couple of months because we've all been testing the betas. So.
Yeah, well, that's true. But yeah, okay, so we can move on. I think we almost came together at the end.
Almost. That was close.
Almost. So I just wanted to ask you, so you're let's say you're actually gonna get the Lumia.
Okay.
Right? But you're basically you use Apple stuff, and we'll get your hardware, the individual hardware later on. But why OS X and, iOS? Why did you gravitate toward that?
OS 10
as a consumer.
OS 10 for me, when I got, it's funny. In the mid '90s, my parents owned a System 7 machine. It was one of those Mac Performa. I think it was a Power PC or Performa something. I don't remember. It was terrible. It was awful. System 7 was awful, and we swore off Macs for a while because of it. So we went back to PC. We had a Packard Bell running Windows 3.1 before that. So I had a Gateway when I was in high school. It was slow after a couple of months, viruses, all that stuff. We had a Dell in the house. And then when I went to college, it was 2003, I said, I want a Mac. They're better from what I've seen. A lot of people seem to have them. A lot of my friends seem to have them. So I had the titanium PowerBook, the 15-inch, and it was amazing. It was my favorite computer at the time. It was just the coolest thing ever. It was fast. It was easy to use. It was intuitive. And ever since then, I've been on Macs. And now that I'm on the 13-inch MacBook Air, this 13-inch MacBook Air really is the best computer I've ever owned. I don't have to worry about it. The issues that I have had with Macs in the past, the Genius Bar has been able to help. That's one thing where I never really got behind the whole PC thing, is customer support was atrocious. And the apps I use...
I love it when Americans talk about customer support because it actually exists over there. But yeah, that's another story.
Yeah.
Just go on, sorry.
Let me tell you, the one place for customer support, and you actually get to talk to a human being, hover.com. And I know they're not a sponsor or anything, but I host I registered Curious Rat with them. Hover.com, you call, you get a human being that will help you through there immediately. It is amazing. But going back to the hardware... for me, the apps are all on Mac, all the apps I need to use, and especially in the case of Scrivener, which I use to write my books, Scrivener is further developed on the Mac than it is on Windows. There is a Windows version, but the Windows version is missing some sync capabilities that are on the Mac, and a couple of other things, I think. So for me, the Mac, I'm not leaving anytime soon. For iOS, before iOS, I had the Sidekick 2, and then I just had a flip phone. It was like the first 3G flip phone that they had ever made. And I had wanted a Windows mobile device for a long time. I wanted a smartphone. And then when the iPhone was coming out, I was just obsessed with it, and I was saving for it, and I was like frothing at the mouth to get this thing. And I haven't left that ever since.
So the Sidekick was the Danger Company. Mm-hmm. That's Andy Rubin. That's the Google guys now, right?
Yeah, they were bought by Microsoft.
Yeah, to do the kin and stuff, right? But most of them went to do Android, I think.
Yeah, the Sidekick 2 was a good piece of kit. It was solid. It was...
Yeah, we never got those phones.
Oh, really?
I've never seen one, like, ever. I've seen pictures of it, but they were not on sale here. I think that was just an American thing.
Yeah, it was my first QWERTY keyboard phone. It was, and I never liked hardware keyboards. That was alright, though, but I have large hands, so I never really got into the whole... I have a work BlackBerry. I hate the stupid thing. I can't type on it.
Well, yeah, okay, I don't know how large your hands are, but I'm 6'8", so I bet...
Oh, wow, you're even taller.
I love...
I'm 6'3", and I have large hands. Wow, okay.
Although I did use Nokias most of the time.
All right, I have to ask you the question I always get asked. Did you play basketball?
I still play basketball, actually.
Nice.
Yeah, still third division, but, you know, it's good for not being that too lazy.
As a half-Jew from New Jersey, I am not athletic, so...
I don't know what that means. Why wouldn't people from New Jersey not be athletic?
Well, partly because I'm from New Jersey, but no, there aren't that many Jewish athletes to write home about. You know, Sandy Koufax, we're good, but my people were not athletic, so...
Okay, so I do this thing because I talk to like foreign people on this podcast, and I do this thing like, what's New Jersey like? You know, I always have trouble asking this question, but like, where do you live and, you know, your surroundings and stuff like that? Because this is going to go into my Slovene feed as well, so, you know, so people get an idea.
New Jersey is not what television would have you believe. Jersey Shore is not New Jersey. In fact, most of the people on Jersey Shore are not from New Jersey. New Jersey is an interesting place because you can go 10 minutes in any direction and be in farm country or the city or the suburbs. It is a microcosm of America. It's really intriguing. I'm in central New Jersey, so I'm in a fairly suburban area, but if I go 5 minutes down the highway, I'm in New Brunswick, New Jersey, which is a fairly largish college city. You know, I'm right near Rutgers University. So where I am, I've got 0.75 acres of backyard of land. So I've got a really nice sprawling landscape behind my house. But my parents grew up and I grew up in the suburbs. I work in New York. New Jersey is not what The Sopranos is. It's not even what Real Housewives of New Jersey is. I really hate the way television paints our state because people make fun of our state because it's like, we're the in-between state you have to drive through to get to somewhere worth going. And New Jersey is a fabulous state to live in. It's corrupt and it's crowded and there are way too many people.
Okay.
But it's a really fabulous place to live. There are a lot of beautiful areas. There's a lot of farmland up north and down south, and in the middle, it's pretty much suburbs. So, suburbs and cities. So, New Jersey's great, and I highly suggest anybody come visit.
I've just been to New York, so that's the classic thing I think you're supposed to do if you come from Europe to America. See New York, and then the next time maybe.
Oh yeah, I work in Manhattan. I love working in Manhattan. It's I don't want to work anywhere else.
So what do you do in New York? Like, what's your day job?
I work for a law firm. I do their marketing.
Oh, okay. That's, and Benjamin said, corporate stooge thing.
Yeah, that's exactly what I am. I am a corporate stooge. But I get to wear a suit every day, so I'm happy.
Okay, I would die if I had to wear a suit every day. But yeah, okay, I get that. I think on Manhattan you kind of have to, I guess.
It's, let me tell you something. I wrote a piece that responded to another piece someone wrote that, wearing a suit is bad. And it's funny because nerds seem to take pride in a lot of minutia about themselves, like what coffee they drink, or what pen they use, or what computer they use. But the one thing that they seem to see as the most utilitarian and not worthwhile thing to focus on is what they wear. And I don't understand it. I mean, of all the places you can make a statement about yourself and show how unique you are is in what you wear every day. And so, when I wear a suit, I'm not just putting on, I'm not playing dress up in my dad's suit and it's a box and I look like, Lurch from the Addams Family. I put thought into what I'm wearing. I pattern match or contrast, if I want to get a certain kind of image going. It's a very creative way to tell people about yourself without telling them about yourself. And I just find it interesting that there was so much blowback on that. And it's not even about suits. It's about anything you wear. Wearing a suit doesn't mean, or dressing professionally doesn't automatically mean wearing a suit. You can dress professionally and wear nice pants and a nice shirt, but it's how you present yourself. And I understand that, nerds are about results and getting, all that matters is the end product. But at the same time, you're putting all this effort into what you drink and what you eat and what you take pictures of and what you're taking pictures with, that what you wear on your body every day should also be part of that.
Yeah, I'm coming from it from a different perspective because, I think the suit is the most uncomfortable thing I like to wear. Again, because I'm tall, I can't really just buy one. I'd have to have one made.
Yeah, you would have to go bespoke.
The only suit I've owned. No, I actually bought one in New York.
See, and
just the jacket, no pants.
That's really where you're going to have to go. Yeah. You're going to have to go to a place like New York. And you're are you tall and kind of a wider stature? Because I found that big and tall shops.
That's the biggest problem. Because everybody told me, just go to America. The sizes there are huge.
Yeah, they're not really.
For like tall, lean people,
I can barely get in at like a Macy's or a department store for suits. For jeans, I have to get them specially ordered. I can't buy in a department store. I'm all leg. But if you go to a big and tall shop, you actually have to be big and tall. It's not either or.
Yes, that was my experience as well. Because I thought I'm going to walk in there and buy 5 pairs of pants.
Yeah,
basically.
I can't buy pants anywhere.
Not one of them were long enough. Just none. And that was the worst. That was my biggest disappointment with America, basically.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's not easy being tall.
Yeah, well, I like being tall, but it's not easy. But it's a burden we all have to bear, the tall people. But yeah. Let's go to the hardware and software now.
Okay.
So, you talked about it, but the stuff you really use now, and I want to talk to you about the Nook as well. But so let's go to the computer and the iPhone. What do you have at the moment?
So the computer I have is the 13-inch MacBook Air mid-2011. I'm running Mountain Lion on it. and I haven't installed Mavericks on it because I don't want to mess up anything. From what I've heard, Scrivener works fine with it, but I don't want to test it. So, Scrivener is like the main app I use for writing the novels and everything. For blog posts, it's called Markdown Pro, and it's it's an app. On the left side, you write in Markdown, and then on the right, you get a preview of it, of what your blog post is going to look like. So it indents everything. It'll italicize if you put the asterisk around it, all of that. To upload to Curious Rat, I'm using Forklift, which I got. It was on sale for like a couple of bucks, so I bought it immediately. And it's a great FTP client. And let's see, browser. I flip between Safari and Chrome. I think I'm going back to Safari because of that security flaw. I just haven't gotten around to it yet.
That's not a security flaw. Come on.
No, it's really not. And people were. I feel like people were blowing it out of proportion. Oh no, they have my computer. They can see my passwords. Well, they have your computer. They can see a lot more too. So.
Yeah, that's my point exactly. Yeah.
To record this, I'm using Piezo. I used it when I was doing In30 and any podcast I'm on. It's like a $10 app from the App Store, and it records any single input you have. Other than that, in terms of software, I'm pretty, I don't know, low maintenance. I don't use a lot of apps. I use, Fantastical. I'm looking at my menu bar here. Mainly Fantastical. I use QuickMailer, I think it's what it's called, or QuickMail X. It sits in the menu bar, and you can knock out a quick email right from the menu bar to any person. I used to send the show notes to my co-hosts that way. You don't actually have to go into the mail application.
Oh, nice. I did not know that one.
Yeah, I'll send you the link for it. It's pretty handy. Bartender was the best $15 I ever spent. Oh, man. It basically collects all the menu bar apps you want to put into it and condenses them into one icon. So when you click on this icon, you can get all this. It's like a second row of menu bar apps, so it doesn't clog up your whole menu bar. That's a really handy one. Oh, and now that I'm looking in their Dropbox, all my work is synced to Dropbox. And then I use an app called Found. It's in the Mac App Store, and what it is it connects to Gmail, G Drive, Dropbox. I think Evernote is in there too. Evernote, Dropbox, your Mac, Google Drive, Gmail, and several other cloud services. And it's like Spotlight for everything. So you type in what you're looking for, and it will scour all of your services at once and let you know where they are. And that's become really handy too.
Yeah, that must be useful. Yeah, because I'm on Google Drive and Dropbox, and I keep forgetting where I put stuff.
Yeah, that's that. Same here. I throw stuff in both, and I tend to lose track of things. And so, like, if I'm looking for an old resume, that's where the first place I go is into Found.
Oh, nice. Okay, and then on the iPhone.
On the iPhone, I've got the iPhone 5 caseless. I'm actually using the Dodo Notes case, which is the notebook with the elastic band, and it's got a...
Oh, it's like a moleskin and...
Pretty much, yeah. And it's got a little cutout for the iPhone.
Yeah, it has an actual notebook on it, right?
Yes, there's an actual notepad behind it. And so for software, I'm running the iOS 7 beta.
Oh God! I heard the last one is actually okay, right?
Beta 5 is fine, and there is a bug in Instagram that they finally patched, so I can use Instagram again. So yes, Instagram. I use Reader. I've actually, ever since Google Reader died, I haven't really used RSS much. I sort of dip in and out as necessary, but I'm sort of out of the whole RSS thing for the most part. Repost for my app.net account, Whisper for the private messages on app.net. Instacast is my go-to podcatcher. Sorry, Zach. Shazam is on my home screen. I use it quite a bit. I still listen to the radio. Mint for my website stats. And ever since my Apple TV remote busted, I've been using the remote app on my iPhone, and it's been fine. And that's sitting on my home screen. So.
How did you bust the aluminum remote?
I sat on it, and it squished, and so the buttons don't go. They're not mapped to where they should be anymore. So when you press down, it actually plays what's on the screen. It's really bad. So I have to buy.
Okay, that's an accomplishment. I think, to destroy that.
I have to buy a new one, and I just haven't gotten around to it. Oh, and then there are two apps I really like. One is from Penguin. It's called Poems by Heart, and it actually teaches you to learn certain poems. So you start off easy with like 4 and 5 line poems, and then as you progress, you get up to Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner Part 7 and 30 line poems. So I've been using that quite a bit. And then Quote Book is another really good one, and it just allows you to store quotations that you come across throughout your life.
Oh, nice. The poem one, I think I'm going to try that one. That sounds...
Yeah, it's free, and then the
whole liberal arts.
Yeah, it's free, and then they give you a couple of sample poems to start off with, and then you can buy packages. So you get packages of 6 or 7 poems for $1, and then you can learn those.
Oh, nice.
So.
Okay, so you said you had a Nook.
Yes.
Why?
Well, this was from several years ago. This is back before the Kindle Touch and the Kindle 4 even, I think. I liked the idea of the Nook. I liked the size of it, the shape of it. I liked the second screen it's the original Nook. I don't have a new one. It's the one with the Android-based second screen that you can scroll through, the color one. So yeah, I love it, and I never upgraded it because it works. So I'm not. That's one of those things where if it still lets me read a book, I'm not really inclined to upgrade it anytime soon.
Yeah, nice, because I've never met anyone that actually bought a Nook.
Yeah,
that's what.
Let me tell you, I think the Nook hardware, even the new Nook hardware, not the tablets, but the e-ink ones, I think they're better than the Kindles. I think the Nook. It's not the Paperwhite, that's the Kindle, but the latest Nook Touch with the light behind it and the better screen, I think that's a better piece of kit than the Kindle.
Yeah, I just reviewed the Kobo Touch and the Kobo Glow. The Glow is kind of the Paperwhite equivalent.
How are those?
And yeah, they're also kind of they look better, and the materials are a little better, but the software's crappy.
Yeah.
So how's the software on the Nook?
I've never had a problem with the Nook software. The second screen was kind of laggy and jittery, but the method for getting through the menus on the top on the e-ink, they were always fine. I don't understand why they put web browsers on these devices, these e-ink devices. They're utterly useless, but
they are not useless. You see, Americans again. Let me explain. I've explained this a couple of times, but I'll do it again. I have the Kindle 3G.
Okay.
And you got basically free 3G internet access with that one. I think it's capped at like 10 megs now.
Yeah.
So I get free internet wherever I go.
But is it...
You see, and the roaming charges over in Europe, I talked about this with Chris Gonzalez, are insane.
Really?
And that thing just pays for itself every summer when I go abroad.
And you don't... See, the thing I found with it is that it was painfully slow to load even Google.com. For me, I couldn't get through it. And it wasn't even a matter of, this is taking 4 seconds instead of 3 seconds. It was taking like a minute and a half to load a web page.
No, I just load the HTML version of Gmail.
Huh.
And then a couple of, Slovene news sites. So,
okay, yeah.
I know what's going on back home when I'm not there.
I haven't tried loading The Verge on it, but I'd be interested to see how, 4 hours later we're still loading.
Yeah, but that browser, that's the only reason I'm not upgrading. Because of the free internet. I'm serious. I would love the Paperwhite because I like the light and all of that stuff, but I am not upgrading just because of the free internet.
It's actually the light in that I much prefer. I don't read a lot on my iPad. I have an iPad 4 also. And I don't read a lot on that or the phone primarily because of the backlight. I don't like reading on a screen like that, and it's also why I've gone back to paper. I still think e-ink and paper are the best for reading long-form pieces.
Yeah, that's true. That is, I completely agree. So do you have any iPad-specific apps you use?
iPad-specific? Oh, Textastic. Although there is an iPhone version, I don't own it. Textastic is it's a code editor, but it's also for, I use it to write blog posts on the iPad. And it has a built-in FTP client, so I can upload, once I'm done writing my post, I can just upload it right from Textastic to CuriousRat.com. That's been a major help, because Curious Rat runs on a static blogging engine called Statamic, and every one of my blog posts is just a .md file that I upload to a server, so I don't have to worry about WordPress or plugins or any of that.
Yeah, and that was actually something I wanted to talk to you about. So has it been the static CMS the whole time? Or?
No, originally it was on Squarespace. I was on Squarespace 5. Squarespace 5 was fine, a little limited in what I could do, but I didn't really care at the time. I upgraded to Squarespace 6, and that just completely dropped the capabilities of the site and the CMS to where I was struggling to do certain things. I couldn't customize it the way I wanted to. I wanted to add certain things to the site. I couldn't do it. And then what really irked me and what pushed me away from it was I set my template up a certain way. I hid certain things. I don't show tags on my site. I don't show categories. It's the title, the date, and the content of every blog post. I would come back to my site after a day and suddenly my template changed and I could see tags again because Squarespace decided to update something in the back end and didn't tell anybody. And so I would file bug reports and say, this needs to be fixed. How do I get rid of this again? You guys keep changing it. And they'd either, once I think they actually were able to help me, but after that it was like, oh, well, there's nothing we can do about it. And I said, you know what? Fine. I'm done. I'm not paying for this anymore. I'm not getting what I'm paying for. So it was like $35, $36 for a Statamic license. Downloaded it, installed it. I was up and running in 10 minutes. The longest part of the whole thing was reconfiguring the design of the site. So I had two windows open. I had a local version of my new site running, and then a page with Squarespace open so I could copy and paste styles left and right so I could get the look of my site back the way I was. And then once I was done, I closed my account on Squarespace and left.
Okay. So are there any drawbacks to the whole static CMS, stuff you maybe miss that was on Squarespace and it's not available anymore?
Yeah, I mean, Squarespace automated a lot of stuff. The big thing for me was the way Squarespace scaled visitors. I've been fireballed once or twice. I've been on the loop several times. And when you get linked on one of those sites, your stats just skyrocket. So Squarespace handled that like a pro. And for $20 a month, even if I had 50,000 hits to the site, they didn't care. I was still paying the same $20 a month. I'm on Media Temple now, and the first version of Statamic I was running didn't have the kind of caching I needed to accommodate that load, so I had been linked on the loop, and then suddenly my bill shot up to $100, and I should have been paying the $20, the same $20 I was paying on Squarespace. So that the first couple of months were a little rough with that. And then also everything is DIY now. If I need to add something to the site, I've got to do it myself, which is a blessing and a curse. I'm glad that I have that kind of control, but I'm not a tinkerer. Like, once it's set up, I just want to leave it and go. But if I need to change or add something, I kind of miss the way the CMS that Squarespace had. It made certain things a lot easier.
No, see, that's my second to last question, and you kind of brought it up, so kudos.
Yeah, thank you.
And then my last question, which is also always the same, what would be that one physical thing that you thought was kind of made for you? You know, you might still have it, you might not anymore, but that one thing that actually kind of made sense to you in a way that other stuff doesn't. It just has to be something physical. It doesn't need to be a gadget, or it can be a gadget.
Something physical that was just made for me.
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Thank you.
I'm gonna say, and I've been a saxophone player for 20 years. And I'm going to say the saxophone I have now, I've had it since I was a teenager. That horn and I have been inseparable for, I'd say, since I got it. And I know that horn inside out, and the sound I get out of it is unparalleled. And that instrument for me is just, that was made for me.
Awesome. I've never, nobody has said it like a musical instrument before, so awesome. That's a great answer.
Oh, thank you.
Harry, that's pretty much it, dude. Thanks for doing this.
This has been awesome. Thank you. Ever since I left N30, I don't get to podcast that much. So this is great.
Tole pa je bila 52. epizoda Aparatusa. Harryja najdete na Twitterju pod @hcmarks, jaz sem na Twitterju @anzet, lahko mi težite tudi na mailu anze@aparatus.si. Če ste na Aparatus naročeni v iTunesih, bo kakršnakoli cena tam ful dobrodošla. Če pa imate možnost, pa lahko Aparatus tudi finančno podprete, to naredite pa na aparatus.si/podpri. Evo, to je do naslednjega tedna to. Čau.